And we are live. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Let me check for the bubble around my head. The bubble is around my head. Now let me wait for confirmation. Okay? Waiting for confirmation on the YouTubes that the sound is indeed on. Yes, I hear the sound, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a special guest in the house, a special guest in the building, as we would like to say. And as people come into this stream, okay, as people come into the stream, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to just start out by saying we are going to have a conversation with growth as the focal point. All right. Shout out to Solo TV 84 already leaving a chat over there. And as people come in, I will be giving this preamble and then I will go ahead and play our intro song. I'm going to play a different intro song today. Okay. I'm going to play a different intro song, ladies and gentlemen. But we got a few people in the house. So let me just go ahead and say this. Growth. Growth. It is a word that cuts across many aspects of our lives, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not going to take that too much further. I'm going to come back and do a proper introduction, ladies and gentlemen. And then we're going to start this conversation with Solo TV 84, a man that needs no introduction out here in these YouTube streets. All right. Shout out to, who we got in the house today? We got Zod General. We got Nova Star Nation in the house. All right. So let's go ahead and play a intro song. I'm going to change the intro music today. We're going to play Toll Road. Okay. Toll Road is another one of my original tracks. Go ahead and check it out on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you can find music digitally, you can find us there. Go to Spotify, or shall I say, go to SoundCloud to get it for free. Go ahead and stream it over there, or go to the YouTube channel. Just search for We Are Soul Rising. The links for my band are all over the place, but let's go ahead and enjoy Toll Road as we greet each other, invite everyone in. I decided to take the temperature down a little bit by changing this song, not playing The Battle Within. It is, after all, just a week before Christmas. And we're approaching the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. We actually are in the weekend. So here's this one called Toll Road. Enjoy. I travel by night and I travel by day. I feel the breeze, I feel the call, and I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and they're mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, small price to pay for the saving of the risk. And so I say, aye, people, what you waiting for? Take one and leave one and take it to go. Make a decision and get on the road. Open your vision for the sun to shine on. Bamboo and acorn and a letter I wrote. Big ones and small ones and a pipe for a toe. The rhythms of time is the horse I ride on. I travel by night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I feel the call, and I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and they're mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, aye, people, what you waiting for? Will there be raindrops and rainbows so clear? Perhaps some snow angels, maybe a bear. Anticipation in the heart casts a fog upon the road. How far till the train stop? I wish I was there. I glance at the paper just to be clear. All the coming and the going that will be once was foretold. I travel by night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I feel the call, and I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and they're mating call. The toll on the road for. Shana na na no, shana na na ne, shana na na no, shana na na ne, shana na 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 no. Shana na na no, shana na na ne, shana na na no, shana na na ne, shana na 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 no. I travel by night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I feel the call. And I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and their mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay. A small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, aye, people, what you waiting for? Growth. Growth, ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying, is a word that cuts across many aspects of our lives. Phrases, sentences, or questions such as, how do you plan on growing next year? How did you grow last year? What is the projected GDP growth? Oh my God, growth in China is decelerating. Personal growth, financial growth, business growth. What's the growth in the stock market? Life, biological life. It's about growth, appropriation, accretion, competition. You might be a tree and you need to accrete and appropriate the resources around you. It could be from the soil, from the air, from the sun, and use it as a means of competition around with the other trees in order to grow. Big fish eat small fish in order to grow. Life is the will to power, growing in power. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ike, and welcome to my channel. Over here on this channel, we talk about being better and doing better with a strong emphasis on doing. That means getting stuff done. And what are we getting done today? Well, today we are talking to Solo TV 84. How you doing, man?
Yo, you ain't even got a Don DeMarco for, brother? Like, what's going on, Ike? You slipping, dog.
You got, crap. You caught me, man.
It's all good. I got you. I got you.
You got the Don DeMarco?
Of course I do, fam. Hold on. All I got to do is wait, click two buttons.
Okay, two buttons. Number one and number two.
Wait. That actually was three buttons. I lied because I put myself on mute.
100%. So this is a man that needs no introduction. Don DeMarco himself, Solo DeMarco himself. How you doing, man? How is life over there in Minneapolis, Minnesota? How's that treating you this 2020, towards the end of 2020? How's life going? How was your day?
Been busy. I've been busy working, and while I'm working, I've also been busy. Getting my podcast situated. For those of you who are not familiar, I got a podcast now on Spotify and Anchor, known as The Soloist. That's a throwback to my blog name for my OG Solo TV 84 followers. I started out with the Soloist blog, and so we're gonna do the podcast, the blog version, but it's gonna be like an updated version of the blog. And we will be on Apple really soon, but right now we are on Spotify and Anchor.
Apple really soon. Right now on Spotify and Anchor. New podcast going back to your old podcast. Your old blog days.
Yeah.
Called The Soloist. I like it. The Soloist. I like it. So, that's right in line with what I wanted to anchor the conversation around today in terms of growth, right? And growth is going to be the focal point, but it's going to be a free-flowing conversation, ladies and gentlemen. So one thing that I would like to let's kick off in this particular direction, I would say. For example, I had a conversation with Dr. Thunder, someone whom you've also had a conversation with, right?
Yeah.
Great. That was a very calm, very soothing interview, by the way. I've never seen you that calm before. That was surprising.
Well, Dr. Thunder, like, he's got a very calm voice. And then, before we start the show, he burned some sage real quick. Like, cool, I see what time it is. You know what I mean?
He changed all those evil spirits in you. So, but basically, one thing that I mentioned in my conversation with Dr. Thunder was the fact that a lot of men come into, let's say, the RP space. let's say after some kind of traumatic experience, a breakup, or maybe a whole history of not being able to deal properly with women or not getting women at all, right? And they come here maybe for commiseration and so on and so forth, but then they start to look into how to improve that particular aspect of their life. And then it gets into improvement and growth in other aspects of their life, right? It could be in terms of the finances, in terms of physical health, right? And so on and so forth. And it goes all the way through to spiritual health, right? Or spirituality in general. Now, for you, has that or does what I just said, does that ring true in your life? And what has been your personal journey traversing through these YouTube streets and these RP spaces and so on and so forth, vis-a-vis starting on one end and then ending up growing and blossoming in different directions?
Hey, I can go start with this question. You ain't gonna ask a Negro what's your favorite color of food. You just gonna go straight into the meat and potatoes. All right, hold on. Shout out to Ike, man. Shout out to Ike. Hold on. Wow, that's a deep question. Ike. One thing about me, I've always been a spiritual person, right? But there's been many times in my life where I've deviated from that, and I got into the RP space actually because, I was dealing with, what you would call Daggle type women. And and I wanted to get it handled. Now, back before it was known as Red Pill, it was mostly game. And you had different fractions of it. You had the PUAs, you had the Max, you had the naturals, and then you also had the self-improvement guys. Now, I gravitated more towards the self-improvement guys because with the PUAs, they were very heavy on, different jargon and terminology. And it was kind of, don't take this disrespectfully, but it was kind of nerdy, right? And the naturals, they were kind of flowery and, whatever. This was a guy by the name of Zam Perion, I believe. And he still might be active. I don't know. So, I Googled something like how to get the girl you want. I don't remember the exact word. And I found a website known as soulsuave.com, the same website that Rollo Tomasi actually started on. And Rollo, you're familiar with Rollo Tomasi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the big guys in the manosphere. He was a moderator, and me and Rollo, actually, we had a couple back and forths. He'll probably tell you he doesn't remember, but he remembers. And the journey started off, to keep it simple. It was initially based on me improving with women, but then I realized it's a lifestyle. So what I mean by that, Ike, is it turned from improving with women to now I want to have the ideal social circle group that I'm with. Then it turned from that into, self-improvement with fitness, finances, and then spiritual was the last part when I realized this, because no matter how many girls you bunker buster, at the end of the day, you and I both know nobody, when you're done, pounding her with the force of 10,000 Thors. Can I say that on your channel, bro?
Go ahead. It's all you, bro.
When you're done, enthralling, having fun with the woman, nobody's gonna give you a trophy and say, "Hey, good job, Ike, on smashing this hot woman." That's not how you get your fulfillment. So the spiritual aspect came last. Once I realized that, there's more to women. Don't get me wrong. I still love women. I still talk about women a lot, but life is about balance, right? And sometimes when you get out of balance, you go one way too far, then the life has a way of trying to push you back to the other way. You know what I mean? So it's about balance. And that's what I try to talk about on my channel. That's why I talk about so many different things, because I am an eclectic person. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't realize, but I was, before coming on to Ike, to calm down, I was listening to some Sade, because I know I can't be doing this whole yelling on your channel that I do on mine. So I was listening to some Sade. I burned some sage, get rid of the bad energy, get rid of the demons. We got the Bible there, Psalm 91. Let's go.
100%. So basically, coming in after some crazy Daggle experience, and then going into the PEOA scene, so on and so forth. And then you find out, okay, well, it's about improving, let's say, your social circle, the people that you're around, improving your mentality, if you will. And then it goes into finances and fitness, and then all the way to spirituality. And my conversation with Dr. Thunder included an excerpt, which I put on my channel, talking about from PUA to spirituality. And it's something that we see. It's very common. You could take Rouge V, for example. We all kind of know his story, right? In the sense that, and what you mentioned, then you say, it is not a either or, in the sense that, oh, because now you're focusing on improving yourself, therefore it's I hate women. It's completely the opposite, as a matter of fact, right? Because I always say, look, that your particular hierarchy, in other words, whatever dominance hierarchy game you're playing, whichever male hierarchy game you're playing, it could be, trying to get the bag, trying to be the best engineer, trying to be the best YouTuber, whatever, or trying to be the best runner, basketball player, whatever male dominance hierarchy game you're playing, doesn't really have anything, or ought not to have anything, to do with women, right? Because women, as some people say, are the accessory. Women will wait at the finish line and try to get the top 20%, right? That kind of a thing. And it's just a fact of life. So when you realize that it should be all about self-improvement and growth in that particular regard, it is not something that says, oh, all of a sudden now it's, you're throwing women in the trash. It's just that you've realized what you should have been doing as a man in the first place. So now, when it comes to growth, okay, generally speaking, well, let me just talk about myself, for example, right? I tend to be someone that is more intuitive. In other words, I'm not a strategic person. I don't have this well-defined goal, and then here are the number of steps to take. These are my next 5 steps. I tend to just rely more on my innate desire to improve, right? To compete with my past self, right? I'm always trying to compete with my past self. And check out, ladies and gentlemen, my video talking about being kind to your future self. This is a way to understand your entire being as a present self, a future self, and a past self, and how you can interact between these 3 selves in order to make things improve for yourself. But basically, you don't want to compete against other people. They're just a figment of your imagination as far as that goes. You don't know what's going on with them, but someone you can at least have some information about is your past self, and try to compete. So I know that I always want to improve in whatever endeavor I'm doing. I try to compete against my past self, but it's almost like I have these antennas. I trust in my intuition, right? I have this future, okay, which is sending signals at me. And like the old days with the rabbit ear antennas, you kind of move it. And when you get good signal, okay, you stop there. That's kind of how I do. I just get in the arena. I try and I fail. I try and I fail. And then when I'm going in the right direction, something pulls me there, okay? So what I'm trying to say is, are you more strategic when it comes to your growth, where you're like, this is what I'm planning to do, and these are my next steps? Or are you more intuitive in the way which I just described?
Well, I hate to be like this, but it's both, right? Because one thing I always used to do is at the beginning of the year, people call it New Year's resolution. I say it should always be an all year resolution, right? So you shouldn't have to wait till a new year to have a resolution to, have a goal. And, what I do is I like to do the 1 year plan, and then the 2 year plan, and the 5 year plan. I know some people say 10 years. Look, I'm not Bill Gates yet. Once I get to that level, then I'll worry about 10 years. But it's good to have goals written down, because one thing I've learned is it holds you accountable, right? Now, the problem, of course, Ike, and this is where most people stumble, is the follow through. Because, for example, let's say, okay, my resolution, all year resolution, is to lose weight. And this hasn't been a secret. The first month in January, you're at the gym, you're eating well. But by February, you're back to eating at the barbecue spot. You're back to these old habits. So one of the things is you have to understand that you're going to stumble and fall. But I also think it's intuitive, because adaptability, Ike, is something that, is very important. You know what I mean? Especially in a space where we're talking about YouTube, because if you would have told me a year ago we would have this beer flu, nobody could have seen that coming, unless you're one of those prophets. Miss Cleo, can I charge you $2.99 phone call? I tell you your future. You know what I mean? So it's important to be intuitive as well. And I would also say to be able to be adapt, have that adaptability. So when there are wrenches being thrown into your plan, because not everything is always like you think it is or think is going to happen, that you're able to adapt. Because I could write a list down, Ike, but that doesn't mean I can follow through with it because certain situations can happen. For example, this whole beer flu situation, as I mentioned, family problems, and I'm just using myself as an example. Family problems, for example, I had a death in the family a couple months ago. My uncle died, and how it is in a black family. When it's the funeral, nobody want to pay. Nobody want to pay. Everyone's like, yo, Solo, we need 5 stacks. I'm like, y'all got it. My mom is like, they coming for my mom. My mom is an old lady. She retired. You know what I mean? So adaptability is very important. It's very important, Ike, to be strategic, not just with YouTube or with your fitness, right? But it's very important to be strategic in general. But also, it's very important to be intuitive, because when things don't go the way that you want them to go, or there's a wrench, then you have to be able to adapt. And I think adaptability is another one that I would add on to it, because one thing I've learned in life is of a dime.
So when you say, well, I don't want to be this way, it's both, right? That 100%, right? It is always both. It is definitely a question of what one tends to emphasize in one's personality, right? Obviously, I got to be strategic. I have a strategic mind. I'm an engineer, right? But relatively, right, in terms of relative strengths, I know that my strength lies in doing. Just jump in, do. And then I look back and I'm like, shoot first, ask questions later, right? I look back and I'm like, oh, crap, I'm here. I did it. How the hell did that even happen, right? I'm like, and I just bury my head down again, do. But definitely, I like the way you put it. Important to be strategic, have those plans, but you need adaptability. And then also, you need to be able to be intuitive when things change so that you can kind of, in the moment, find the new route to go. So what are some of your plans? Or let's start bear flu, okay? I'm sure that derailed some plans. So what were your plans for this year that didn't quite happen? Your plans for growth? And then what are your plans going to be for next year? Or is it just the same?
Ike?
This year to next year?
Ike? It's funny you mentioned that, because I believe it's one of the laws in the 48 laws of power, but never say what you're going to do next. Keep an element of surprise, right? So respectfully, Ike, I don't really tell people what I do next, because here's what happens, especially on YouTube. I've seen it happen where I said, hey, I'm going to make a video talking about this maybe. And the next day, I see another YouTuber took that same topic and ran with it. And there's no beef. I'm not calling anybody out. But I think for example, one of my main plans was I wanted to do more in-person interviews, right? So as you know, 2019, I really took that to another level by interviewing. They have a nickname for it. They call it Solo's Couch. Because I have a girl sitting on the couch and this and that. But what I wanted to do
actually, no cap, as you would say, I actually enjoyed a lot of those. Honestly, like I just, for some reason, I don't know what it is. It showcased a different aspect of you. So you were not in the camera, you were in the background. The focus was on them, and I like the way you kind of guided the conversation. So, anyways, just wanted to say that.
Well, you were part of that experience, and I think we'll talk about that more in a second, of what your thoughts were, because you got to see how it really works behind the scenes. Like Ike was like, "Hey, I just thought it was this Kenan Thompson lookalike." No, Ike saw the team. Well, a couple people from the team we had to let go, but that's that. Let's keep that behind the scenes. Ike knows why.
Good times.
But Ike knows. But and so one of the things I wanted to do is instead of just interviewing women, I also wanted to interview people that were successful, whether it was in regards to finances, business, different trades of ventures, photography and such. I had plans like that, but the beer flu put a wrench in that. Now I was still able, luckily, to interview people like yourself. Obviously, as you know, went to LA, had a fantastic time. Ike made those little gimlets. I don't know what it was, but it was the best drink ever, man. It was like Ike was in the kitchen. Yo, Ike was in the kitchen chopping it up. You know what I mean? It was a dope experience. So I think that one of the plans is always for me to elevate the content, always bring something different. You know what I mean? 2016, for example, Google Hangouts were implemented into YouTube. So I started to do that. I was one of the first content creators to have panels. BGS was the first in the space, in the manosphere, but I was the second. 2017, I started to talk about crypto. That because I was investing into crypto. So I started talking about that. 2018, I started to talk more. I did reaction videos, which kind of that's really what blew my channel up, was those Jubilee reaction videos, right? 2019, I added more of the spiritual aspect, the semen retention, no fap, interviewing different people. So every year I try to add a different dynamic to the channel to show growth. Because one thing about it is if you're still talking about the same thing, then you're going to be stagnant. Now, obviously, most of my audience loves me for my female nature content, right? They love me for my roast reviews or my stories. But eventually you have to grow, you have to evolve. And that's what I'm trying to do, not just on YouTube, but also in my real life. And so that's one of the reasons why I already mentioned in 2021, I'm going to be starting a new series called Business from Scratch, where I will be starting a business from scratch, literally, with $0 or like a really minimal amount, like $1,000. And whether the business succeeds or fails, I will be documenting every step of the way of what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. So I've been doing my research on this, the drop shipping business, because I know some guys who are successful. One of the guys, he's a millionaire. His name is Leon Green. He's got a small YouTube channel, but even though it's only got 8,000 people, this guy, he makes 7 figures a year. He doesn't have to YouTube. He just does it because, he wants to. And so for me personally, I think that people have to understand, like, yeah, female nature content is great, right? We enjoy the roasts, right? We enjoy the reaction videos, but eventually, we have to move on. I'm in a different place in my life. When it comes to women, I see the effery, don't get me wrong, but where compared to maybe 3-4 years ago where I used to go, and people still think I go hard, but if you saw my videos from 3-4 years ago, you would have thought I was a black pillar, or a MGTOW guy. I was going hard, and sometimes rightfully so, but for me to continue to grow, I do have to evolve my content. And I know that sometimes the audience doesn't like it. So, for example, in 2019, I don't know if you saw the video, but I wore a dashiki and I ran out doing the Wakanda Forever skit. And for me to do that, I wanted to step out of my comfort zone to kind of challenge myself and really show another dimension to who I was. Like most of the audience, they didn't care. They didn't care for it, but still, I was, you have to evolve, and sometimes that means you have to take risk. And whether you fail or succeed, you got to try. You won't know until you try.
100%. And there's a huge element of timing involved. If we're just talking about that Wakanda video, for example, right?
Yeah, I should have waited till the second movie came out, but
who knows? Because what I mean is, if you're just talking about comedy skit type stuff, for example, right? It may just be the wrong time. Maybe we're too soon, right? And then maybe you may try it again in middle of 2021, and all of a sudden, solo skits. You have to start another channel called Solo Skits or whatever, right? So I always wanted to mention something that you mentioned right off the onset. At also checking for you, talked about this never telling people your dreams, right? So definitely, I made a video called "Men Shut Up and show your work, right? So beyond the aspect of, maybe other people might do some other things with it. I'm an introvert. I tend not to think about other people at all. Like I don't know. It's a huge blind spot for me. Like what? Someone is what? What? I don't get it. So, but from even just your own psychological perspective as an individual, here's why you should not be talking about things to other people. Because there is a social reality out there, in the sense that when you say something, okay, and someone else hears it and says, wow, great, that's a great idea, it gives you some kind of a satisfaction. That satisfaction reduces your hunger, and that hunger is what you need in order to actually get it done. So rather than pick up the phone tomorrow and call the Small Business Administration and ask them about the SBA loan or ask them about government contracts, you're going to feel a little bit more satisfied. In other words, you want to stay hungry. Whenever you get the urge, ladies and gentlemen, to tell somebody else about, yeah, I'm looking into this particular investment. Yeah, I'm trying to start this drop shipping thing. Yeah, I'm trying to start this business. Stop that urge, bottle up that hunger. There's something in you that's trying to be satisfied. There is a hunger in you that is trying to be satisfied. Don't satisfy it by putting it out there into the world, create a social reality. And you're like, yeah, because what happens is it gets in your memory. You're going to remember that party where you were telling people about your ideas and you were the big man, because look, we're social animals. The fact that people look at you and say, wow, that was a good idea, actually makes you feel like you've actually achieved that thing. And then it stays in your memory, and memory is tricky. Your memory starts playing around with it and creates this whole thing in your head. So don't say it, bottle up the hunger. Rather than tell somebody, pick up the phone tomorrow and start making those cold calls that you need to make. Call the bank that you need to call. Go register for the class that you need to register for. So 100% I agree with what you're saying. So now,
wait, not to catch up. Can I add on to that?
Go ahead.
Okay, and one of the reasons I started doing it, Ike, is when I first started YouTubing, I didn't really tell people. I told a couple of my friends, right, because I knew the type of reaction I would get, and then I waited. I told one of my other friends, I was about 15,000 subscribers, and I told him I was YouTubing, and he says, "Who's gonna watch?" And I didn't tell him at the time. I already got 15,000 people.
Nice little jab.
yeah, but that's the point, Ike. Because here's the thing. One thing I've learned is when you start to share your dreams or goals with people, they will try to talk you out of it. Because when people start to see you move a certain way or take actions towards your dreams or self-improvement, they'll feel like they're left behind. Or they will try to impose their limited beliefs and project them onto you. And you know what, Ike? Well, since we're talking about spirituality, right? There's an African thing where certain people talk negative about you. It's like a curse. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you might be in agreement with it, but you might be like, yeah, maybe you're right. You might think, oh, well, you didn't really say anything, but you just cursed yourself, right? Like Kevin would say, I rebuke. But here's the thing. The reason why I don't tell people my dreams and goals is because the people that you will tell, sometimes they will try to talk you out of it. And then what will happen is either one, you become discouraged, or two, you will then have second thoughts. And so I like to be steadfast in my goals and resolve. And another thing is that, let's be honest, there's always another reason. A lot of people don't give a shit. Excuse my language. People just don't care. People always want to see the end result, And so one thing I noticed happening is, and like I said, I didn't tell a lot of people. All of a sudden, people that I knew were blowing up my phone randomly, like about a year or two ago. And they say, hey, man, I heard you YouTubing, or I saw you on YouTube. Even people like that I hadn't talked to in a decade, they would randomly see my videos. And I'm like, wow, And I told myself, what if I would have told everybody? Would I still be where I'm at right now? You know what I mean? And it's not don't get me wrong. Like sometimes there's certain things maybe we should share, right? Because it helps us to be accountable, right? So for example, if I tell the audience, hey, I want to lose 50 pounds, my audience is going to hold me accountable for that, right?
100%. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if I tell my audience, hey, I want to make $10 million next year, they're going to hold you accountable, but then people are also going to talk. So one thing, the reason why I'm very guarded about my goals is because I've learned that, Napoleon was one of the greatest generals ever. He didn't telegraph his moves. He did it, and that's why even hundreds of years later, over 500 years later, he's still regarded one of the greatest generals because of that.
Wow, this is a great gold mine of a topic here. So I just wanted to add another kind of layer to it, because I was actually having a conversation yesterday with a friend of mine, went to college together and everything. And we were talking about international business, if you will. Now, this guy, he's a Mexican gentleman. Okay. So I was like, okay, talking about land and such in Mexico. And he said something, which is, and this goes to the point of the K coaching says people want to see you fail. That's one thing. But even if people don't want to see you fail, people like to sound like experts, or maybe they do have some expertise and they want to give you their analysis, right? We're social creatures. We also want to do this, right? Somebody tells you about something and you want to give the other side, like, you know what? Maybe you should be careful and you should look at this and you should look at that. You get what I'm saying, right? So this guy in 2019 was in Mexico, and he was seeing things whereby, or he saw a situation whereby he could come in with a delivery service, okay, to deliver food, because he was in TJ. TJ is getting gentrified, a lot of opportunities to do that kind of thing. So he told his friend, right? And his friend felt the need to kind of chime in. And he said, you know what? He put on, whatever, and said, hey, you know what? Uber Eats is going to go into that market. They're going to sew it up, give their analysis, right? And then 2020 hit, the bear flu, right? Bear flu hit.
Yeah.
Uber Eats is not there yet, and the market blew up like 4 times, like 4x in terms of the food delivery market, which he saw and he wanted to participate in, but somebody told him, oh, Uber Eats is going to sew up the game, and boom, he lost that. Same thing happened again with crypto, but he didn't listen this time. Okay, he was telling a friend of his about crypto, a friend who's in financial, he does day trading and so on and so forth, and he told his friend, and you know the story. You can listen to Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett talk about Bitcoin now. Well, it's a Ponzi scheme, and you got to be careful about this and how you're sure about that. It's just a number, blah, 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 blah. But this time he didn't listen because he was just fresh from the experience where somebody else was giving. So point being, even if the people are not trying to see you fail, they want to give their analysis. It's this urge that we have. That, oh, well, let me tell you the other side, and let me tell you how to be careful, because something about being skeptical and being careful always sounds smart, right? It's like, oh, you need to watch out for that. Like, oh, he's got the info. He's a smart guy, that kind of thing. But anyways, so I appreciate the fact that you're not going to necessarily in a very specific way tell us about your plans, but let's say this. So let me say, for example, for me, I've learned a lot in terms of tacit knowledge, in terms of real knowledge, as opposed to just book knowledge or watching YouTube knowledge from, let's say, participating in music, right? I've learned a lot about the importance of consistency, okay, to be able to go from that idea of starting the band to then forming a garage band, and then, doing one gig at the local school, and then doing a battle of the bands at the TGI Friday, and then getting a gig at the local bar, and then typically it's a 7-year process before you then sew up, like you're okay, I got the Southern California market sewn up, and then you blow up from there. So I learned a lot, again, in terms of tacit knowledge, real knowledge, because anyone could read that paragraph in a book and say, yes, I know it. But I saw it myself by participating in the music and working with a lot of professional musicians, right? Also, from my stage craft, if you will, being the lead singer in front of a band, I learned a lot about how to control a room, right? How to hypnotize people, how to get your point across, how to be the most comfortable person in the room. And I transferred that over to selling. I transfer my consistency idea over to starting the business, and so on and so forth. So what am I saying? I'm asking you, why are you smiling, man?
You're doing it again, bro. You're doing it again, man. You're doing it again. Thanks.
What has YouTube and your other experiences, okay, either on YouTube, creating this YouTube channel, and your other experiences, what has that taught you about sales, marketing, and entrepreneurship?
Well, let's begin. I mean, my sales experience, I started, basic. Like I used to work at an office store, like Office Depot, right? And I started off there, selling there. And when you work in the retail, the main thing is trying to get the extended plan or the warranty plans, right? To help get the margins bigger. And one thing you have to do is you have to be comfortable to do so, right? And so you start from that to be able to sell the plan. But one of the things that's very important is you have to be confident. And how do you become confident? You have to know your product, And I think that initially I didn't know the product very well because, I was a kid straight out of high school going to college, and I'm selling printers and computers and digital cameras. Now, these were 2-megapixel digital cameras, Ike, early 2000, right? Now your phone is a better quality camera phone than the stuff, we were selling. And then, I went from that to my last sales job. I was selling alternative medicine. Now, every time I say that word, people think I was a drug dealer. Well, technically I was. But I'm talking about, when I talk about alternative medicines, I'm talking about we were selling vitamins and herbs specialized to, the elderly. But we would also sell Viagra because, that's one of the things. And one thing, is there's a difference when you sell a printer and a computer compared to when you're selling drugs and vitamins to a person. Because, when you sell a printer or computer, a person can look at something and see what the specs are and think, okay, this is great. But now when you're selling a vitamin, a supplement, or, a drug, this is something that people put in their bodies. And so people are very naturally hesitant to do so. So one of the things I learned as a salesman that you already know, Ike, is to build rapport. You got to build rapport with your clientele, your customer base. You have to listen and BS. Even Ike, if you don't care to hear about the guy's daughter running out, with a black guy, or he's a white guy and a white girl running. You don't care about the story, or he wants to talk about politics. But guess what, Ike? To that guy, it's important that you, and this is something you reminded me of. It's important that you listen, not just hear. That's probably the most important part of sales. Sometimes is that process, because for people, sometimes they know they want to buy, but they want to be comfortable that they're buying from you, because they want to make sure that you did the right stuff. Because you could give them all the numbers. You can give them all the stats, right, Ike? But a great salesman understands you have to be personable. You have to be able to give them the facts, but also be able to make the client feel comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we just pause you there. And that is why. So I recently interviewed the president of American Heritage University. He's a guy called Aitois. He's kind of a regular on this channel. And we talked about selling. We talked about closing specifically. Mm-hmm. And what you're saying now is something that we kind of stressed in that video, which is basically that selling, in other words, buying, is an emotional process. Okay, it's not an argument where you're like, "Oh, I'm going to debate you," but now you got to buy. It's like, no, no one has to do anything. It's an emotional thing, and that's why go and check that video. Let me repeat it again. Not just the video I just mentioned about how to close, but also how to be the most comfortable person in the room. Because when you're the most comfortable person in the room, people feel comfortable, and when people feel comfortable, they are more amenable to your persuasion. So anyways, go. So let me just count a couple of things in terms of, I asked you the question about what you've learned. One is product knowledge, right? And then the second is listening. Yes, you may not care about his daughter's soccer practice or his daughter being a daggle or whatever. But you need to listen, make him comfortable, because that's the best way of him walking out with that printer, right? So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but Ike, here's another thing, right? And I was going to take a picture and post it on Instagram. As well as I do, right? You're the type of person, you're an engineer, you understand analytics, you understand statistics, you understand numbers. You can know all of that, right? But if you don't have the personality to sell it, it doesn't mean shit. Excuse my language.
What do you mean by personality? Because that's where I like to push back on that, because here's what my introvert friends hear when you say that.
Mm-hmm.
They immediately get discouraged. But look, I'm Mr. Introvert over here telling you, hey, I'm the lead singer in the band. I'm a closer, okay? That's my specialty when it comes to selling. And you're saying, oh, personality stuff. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, but what does that really mean, though?
So when I'm talking about personality, I'm not talking about you got to be Chris Rock and make people laugh. One thing that, and this is my experience, and maybe it resonates with you or it doesn't, but one thing that's important about sales is the person that you're selling to. Like you said, it's an emotional buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what every great salesman understands is that when you're selling to a person, you make it seem like it's their idea. Does that make sense? So when I say personality, the art of persuasion, Ike, you're great at that. I've seen you do it. It blew my mind. He had the snow bunny serving him drinks. Ike he knows what he's doing. And when I say personality, Ike, it becomes you said it yourself. It's being the most comfortable person in the room. So if I come on this interview and I'm twitching and I'm nervous, you're gonna be like, "Hey, Solo, are you okay? Is something wrong?" Now, if you're selling, Ike, and you're twitching and you're nervous, guess what? It's gonna make the client nervous. But when you're present, you're in the moment. And I'm not saying you're a dancing monkey, but you're present in the moment. You know what you're talking about. You're making eye contact. You're communicating effectively. Then it's going to help it out a lot. And so when I say personality, what I mean is it's the nuances. I'm not saying, hey, you got to be a jokester like Solo TV 84, but you have to be present in the moment. You have to be able to listen. A lot of things and this is why I'm a bad interviewer, is that I have a problem listening. You know what I mean? I do. Why do you think I keep cutting people off? But here's the reality, Ike. I think that, and I think, Ike, we also have to realize when it comes to sales, and you probably might agree or disagree, but it's also a numbers game too. You have to realize you're not going to get every client or every customer, right? There were times where the guy didn't want the 100 milligram of Viagra. He only wanted the 50. Even though he's 80 years old and he's going to need every milligram he can get, But here's the thing, Ike. I think that the best thing to do if you're an introvert is you play to your strengths. And the one thing I notice is the introverts that I used to work with, they were very product knowledgeable and they understood how to, and there was a certain aura about them. And that's something you can't teach. I mean, Ike, you got it. You know what I'm saying? I don't really. I just, bullshit a lot. You know what I mean? But people find it funny.
So the reason why I pushed back on it was so that you take that word personality and unpack it. You unpacked it to say, listen. You unpacked it to say eye contact. You unpack it to say, don't be twitching, right? In other words, what I'm trying to get to the introverts out there is that these are things that are learnable. They're teachable. And for somebody who is like me, I can explain it clearly to those that I have my own psychological makeup, right? So I can tell you about how to be comfortable. That has nothing to do with you telling jokes and so on and so forth, okay? And being able to influence. Okay, just to kind of flesh out to kind of summarize what you were saying there is an analytical side of it which goes to the numbers game, whereas you don't want to be going after every prospect. You want to pre-qualify the prospects, right? That involves some analysis. And then the rest, for the most part, is understanding that sales is an emotional thing, whereby you sit down and you listen, and you got to understand where the customers are. There's a problem finding and solution finding aspect of things, and then there is a kind of a shopping aspect of things, and then there's I've decided aspect of it. There are many stages in the game, and you cannot just rush into the customer in other words, there's something called pacing and leading. You have to walk beside somebody before you then move ahead of them, and then they'll start following you. If you just go to the front of the person and start, they're not going to follow you. But when you walk beside them, all of a sudden you take 2 steps ahead, they're going to start following you. It's almost like magic, but basically that's kind of how it works. Now, there is a, I don't know if you mind reading what I put on the screen there in terms of the comments. You can see it, right?
to those planning to run business, would you be the face of the business or would you create a mascot? Well,
What
it
do you think about that?
depends.
It's almost like a cam up question.
It depends what type of business you're running. You know what? I heard a story once. I forgot who told it, but I heard a story about a black guy trying to start a business, right? But he's like, let me get a white guy to be the face of the business, right? So the white guy was the mascot, the face of the business. Guess what? The business did very well because the black guy realized if I show who I am, people aren't going to buy from me. Now, does that sound messed up? It does. But you have to be able to understand the market that you're in and what you're selling. And unfortunately, certain people, whether it's your race, whether it's your look, you're not going to be able to sell this. You know, one of the things about me is I never, one of the things about me is I'm always very transparent and honest with my audience, right? And that's one of the reasons I started a series called Sim Tales about my failure. Because what do I come here looking like? Hey, I'm Solo TV 84. I get models. I get hot chicks. You're going to look at me like this chubby Kenan Thompson motherfucker? No. You know what I mean? But the reality is that I've had a lot of failures with women, and I'm just using that as an example. And I've also had some successes, right? And in life, you got to understand that not everything is black and white, as a lot of people try to paint on YouTube, especially these, the black pill incel guys who say it's all about looks, money, and status, right? Mm-hmm. There are different nuances that you in person, I call it the X factor. You can't account for it. So, for example, my X factor might be my personality. Ike's X factor is, Ike's got the money because you be tricking. You know what I'm saying? Ike was tricking in LA. But the X factor too, Ike, is when you speak, you have this presence, this aura around you, like you're an authority figure. That's why those ladies got in line, started serving you drinks and wanting to get your validation when we were doing the interview, because they could tell, like, oh, this is the guy we need to talk to, not Solo's ass. He's the star, not Solo. Well, yeah. Then why do you think I do interviews? Because I know that it's never about me. Solo TV 84 has always been about the content, right? And so I forgot the question, Ike, but you get the point.
No, it's all good. The question was what is on the channel there, and you answered it perfectly. I would like to, because this, I think the question is specifically about the face of the company, okay? There are many strengths in a company, and if you're talking about the mascot, the face of it, look, there's a reason why a lot of medical equipment sales, okay, go and hire hot blondes from Arizona State University, okay? In other words, the marketing aspect of your company has to do with the branding, the face, the thing that's going to draw people in. And if you are not if you're not a hot blonde from Arizona State, then no, go get a hot blonde from Arizona State to do that aspect, okay? This cuts across all aspects of the business as well. For me, I mentioned that I am not strategic, for example, okay? I am more of a go, do, start a business, whatever. In other words, I'm that entrepreneurial type versus the CEO. There's a dichotomy there. Not all entrepreneurs make great CEOs, okay? Entrepreneurs are more Elon Musk, whatever, Steve Jobs, those kinds of, they're a little they're more creative, right? And they don't like rules so much. Your manager / accountant / CEO type is a different personality altogether. So for that particular silo, you need to go get, manager, strategic, accountant type, put him in there. Go get your hot blondes from Arizona, the state, and put them in where they need to go. If you're the guy that has the visionary type of thing, then you're just gonna, you have that kind of energy, that aura, that whatever, which is my lane, then I do that, right? So whatever it may be, don't make it special. Like, oh, it's a question of, like this person also mentioned, good looking people doing sales and so on and so forth. Well, if you don't need to be the face of the company, well, don't be the face of the company. It's not a must. Looks, money, status, black pill stuff. I know that you're probably thinking about all that stuff as that goes. No, but anyways, speaking about business and all this kind of stuff, there is a high level of emphasis on entrepreneurship. Okay, it has to do also with the gig economy. There is hustle, multiple streams of income, and so on and so forth. Now, no heat, no judgment. I participate in all of this. I am a business owner. I am an entrepreneur. I have multiple streams of income. I'm into this whole thing as well. However, here's what I tend to think is that there is not enough of an emphasis in an equally important aspect, which is skill development. Okay. You don't see a lot of videos out there getting tons and tons of views about here's how you become a journeyman carpenter. Here's how you become an electrician. Here's how you get into the HVAC thing. Because look, those are the skills for which if you take that and you flipped it into a business, you're going to be making money super quick, a lot quicker than, and with a lot higher chance of success than trying to compete with all the Amazon or everybody else out there selling weave, for example, right? So do you think, right, Matt, you know what I'm saying? Look, it's not so sexy to talk about, oh, go get your certifications, go get your degrees, so on and so forth. So I mentioned, hey, I do participate in the entrepreneurship, multiple streams of income, so on and so forth. But check it. Look, I'm also a very, very highly skilled engineer licensed in 3 states with a lot of great soft skills that I spend a lot of time, energy, and money developing. Okay, so it's not just, oh, just jump in. So I'm saying, do you think, okay, that there's this kind of overemphasis on entrepreneurship and not enough, or do you think there needs to be also be more equal amount of time spent talking about getting your skills?
Okay, now, Mike, hold on a second. Yeah. Are we talking in general, or are we talking the manosphere? Because I can tell you as a guy who, for example, you know, looking at the drop shipping, and I'm not an expert, like I said, I'm still doing my research. They go in depth about how to build up your drop shipping by doing better marketing and how to improve it better and be consistent. So I guess I'm trying to get a clarification here.
Here's the clarification. Number one, it's in general, not just in the manosphere. And then number two, it's that whole silo you described, drop shipping, and then how to do the business. That I'll put as a business entrepreneurial type thing. But how about just skills? What I mean is, okay, hard skills, whether it be in the blue collar sector, for example, or in the white collar sector, and soft skills in terms of being a better speaker, being a better presenter, so on and so forth. Those things that will be very important in whether your business succeeds or not, right? Because that's kind of like that's what I'm saying. Do you see enough of that kind of stuff, or is it just more business, entrepreneur?
Okay. Well, I got to go do a little throwback to, I think it was your first video that you did, maybe your second. And then you had mentioned, you brought my name up, like, how do you become a good YouTuber? And then you mentioned something about the lines of, well, you got to do 1,000 videos, right? So here's the thing, Ike. You know, in regards to certain skills, right? Depending on, and I why you got to get me with this question, dog? You know, this is such a broad question, man. But it really, Ike, you know, I think honestly, number one, it depends on what information you're looking at, who you're dealing with. Because here's another thing: certain people, like, they're gonna give you, here, let's say I got this Perrier, right? And as you can probably see, it's half full, right? They're only gonna give you half of it, and then the other half, Ike, they're gonna tell you, hey, sign up to my website to get that information. You know what I mean? So it's gonna lead, and you making me give the game away, and then the people have to then go to that paywall to get that information. But there's a saying, Ike, isn't it? And I'm gonna misquote it, but I know you know this. You've heard of this, that it takes like 10,000 hours for you to master something, right? So I mean, you know, if you are a logical person or a realistic person, for example, let me use myself, Ike. When I first started doing photography, I didn't think, oh yeah, even though I'm Solo TV 84, I'm gonna be able to do this right away. No, my first event was trash. I was using a shitty camera, excuse my language. I didn't know what I was doing, right? So I realized even before the first event, let me just get some experience and some practice. And I linked up with this guy. His name is Ricky, right? And he's done Fashion Week in LA and New York. He's a pretty accomplished guy. And then we started working together, and he's teaching me, hey, this is how you teaching me about depth perception, teaching me about lighting, this and that, teaching me how important it is to have another set of eyes. So that's why when I was in LA, you have my buddy Nate and people looking at to see where the best angle is, the best position, because I might think, okay, because I'm lazy, this might be the best angle. Like, let's just sit down. But when we have another set of eyes, they might say, no, that's not. So I think that on YouTube, let's be honest, if we're talking about YouTube, a lot of people, they're going to give you information that is based off of what people want to watch. So what I mean is, a lot of people don't have a long attention span, Ike. That's why YouTube recommends you make your videos 5 to 10 minutes at the most, because the average person has got the attention span of a squirrel. You know what I mean? But then you also write that there isn't enough information in regards to being more in depth. And that's because at the end of the day, Ike, the person who's truly going to seek that knowledge, I would guesstimate it's probably going to be 10%. And that 10% who are looking for that real information, they're going to find it.
Got it. Yeah, I saw that that's where you were kind of going with it. And in terms of, you're going to spend that 10,000 hours if you're that guy. You're going to go to LA, right? And, you're going to find the camera person to talk to. Why do you guys think? Okay. What you just mentioned goes to what is the comment that I just highlighted. Okay. As you were saying, I saw that comment. I was like, okay, yes, when it comes to making money, there's going to be less views. And if you're trying to get views, which is what you should be doing on your channel as an aspect, no matter what you're trying to do, okay, you should want the maximum amount of views possible. And there are ways of making sure that that happens, right? So, and then you have certain people, like you mentioned, and I may be rambling, okay, but you mentioned, for example, that people have a short attention span, right? But then you will have somebody like Joe Rogan with his 3-hour-long podcast being the top podcaster in the world. What is that? In other words, there is always a way to get what people may think is impossible. There is always a way to get it done. But obviously, Snuggles that asked this question about, well, why is it when it comes to money, people have, what do you think about this question? Let me ask you, okay? Because you mentioned that in your crypto streams, for example, like, oh, if I'm talking about, single mothers, people are going to show up. But if I start talking about this crypto stuff, people don't show up. What has been your assessment? What do you have to say about this kind of idea?
Well, let me just say this. So if you were to talk to a guy like Leon Green, right, even though his channels don't get a lot of views as my channel, he's got a higher CPM than I do, Ike. I know that for a fact because he's told me. He's got more engagement. So what I'm saying is this, Ike. He may have a smaller populace watching his channel, but the people that are watching him, they're more engaged. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So those people, he may not have over 50,000 subscribers like Solo TV 84, but he's got a longer engagement time. Why is that? Because the people that are watching him, those 8,000 people, they're really soaking up that information. They're really watching it, right? Now, my content, in fairness to me, my content is all over the place. One day I'm talking about, big booty Becky's. The next day I'm talking about crypto. The next day I'm talking about ratchet news. So I'm all over the place. So when you say why do guys and we gotta do this, Ike. When we're talking about making money, there are less views. We got to talk about the manosphere, not just the black sector, but the white sector. The truth of the matter is, and this is my issue, is most guys care about the punani. They care about the hot box. And here's the thing. A lot of guys don't want the information that can make them financially free because in their mind, they're thinking to themselves, well, I will never get to that level. I will never do that. If somebody would have told me 6 months ago, I would be in LA interviewing you in a red suit looking, like a car salesman, I would have thought, yo, you tripping. Right? But anything is possible. So what I'm saying, Ike, is that I used to get angry about that, but then somebody in the audience told me some real stuff. The guy said, hey, Solo, I understand your frustration, but I don't come to you for crypto. I come to you about female nature. And you know what, Ike? That's a fair point. Because, Ike, if you start talking about thoughts, some people might say, okay, I'm not here to listen to Ike about thoughts. I want to hear about, how to have mindfulness, how to be present, how to sell. That's what so there's going to be your core audience. They're always going to come for your core content or what you're known for.
100%. Like I like the way you answered that. Like if you're going to scattershot all over the place, then you can't you get what you get, right? It's
Yeah.
like because they may be listening to crypto content, but they listen to it from somebody else who only does crypto content. And
Exactly.
it's like, well, no, I'm not going to listen to your crypto content. I have this guy that I always listen to every day. He shows up at 6 a.m. and he does this show on crypto every day, and that's my guy. I don't want to. Yeah. So 100%. And then there's something else that this question on the screen goes to, which I tend to believe. And you mentioned here, and it is often repeated, that people have a short attention span. I, however, don't believe so. I tend to think that the podcasting world disproved that, blew that away, because the TV was all about that. Oh no, you can only have the segments this long, and then you got to say this, and you got to flash a light, you got to do that, and then you got to go to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. But no, Joe Rogan and many other podcasts out there proved it wrong. Now, the question is, well, how come everybody's not listening to quote unquote my podcast? But here's the thing. Not everybody is a Joe Rogan, Kevin Samuels, Sotomayor, okay? Look, I don't need to get into depth as to why those people are unique, okay? They're talented, they're multi-talented, they're very hardworking, they have something that people want to gravitate towards. And not everybody is worth gravitating towards, just... right. I mean, there's no point in even elaborating upon that. Now, so we've been kind of talking about crypto in the periphery as we've been going through this conversation. And I would like to ask you, okay, in terms of your plans, in terms of growth and so on and so forth, what role has crypto played in all of that? When did you, let's just take it there. When did you get into crypto, and how has the journey been so far?
So I first heard about crypto in 2016 from a guy by the name of Mittal Hybrid. He changed his name to SBI Hybrid. And he mentioned it late 2016 on one of my Google Hangouts that I had, right? And when he started talking, it went over my head. I thought he was talking about some scam. I don't know. This sounds too complicated, you know? And it didn't make sense to me. You know, it was just one of those things where I listened, but then I tuned out instantly. And then in 2017, one of my best friends, who actually, he's a big YouTuber himself, coincidentally. Well, he wasn't at the time. His name is Ian Bellina. He's a guy that I've been around on and off for years. He's a great friend of mine. And I asked him, hey, what are you investing in right now? Because, you know, there's certain people like, you know, when they tell me about what to do, I just do it, you know? And he's like, man, you got to get into this Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Bitcoin? I heard about that. I kid you not. He sent me a link. I instantly looked up at the link. I signed up on Coinbase the same day. You know what I mean? Hold up. That's how you know I'm old school. Coinbase. And then what I did, Ike, is 2017, I believe it was February or March, I started to immerse myself in crypto. And once I realized what blockchain was, the potential that it had, and how, you know, it's decentralized, right? And borderless, and how, you know, it allows the currency for you to be able to be in control. Now, libertarian, I don't know if you are one, Ike. Wait, I think you are, right? But libertarian, yeah, they love it, right? And me, when I heard about this, and I saw 2008, right, the recession, and I was like, whoa, this is something, right? And so once I started to talk more about cryptocurrency, I started to make, you know, videos about it. And of course, my audience thought I was trying to push a scam or BitConnect. You know? No, I never endorsed BitConnect. Thank God I never endorsed that. That would have ruined my credibility. Ike is like, yeah, I know about that. But Ike, hold on, let me finish. I know I'm clowning.
Go ahead.
But I realized that we live in a world now where the world is getting smaller and smaller every day, and wire transfers. Ike, have you ever done a wire transfer, man?
Oh yeah, any immigrant knows about, you know, the wire transfers, or using Western Union or MoneyGram, so on and so forth, and getting charged an arm and a leg, and it taking such, yeah.
Now imagine, Ike, and you know what I'm about to tell you. Imagine instead of waiting, you know, you know, 3 days or 2 days or X amount of hours, you can have it within 5 minutes. The money, as soon as you hang up the phone with your mom or dad or whoever family member, it's already there. That's the beauty of XRP, baby. You know, so yeah, I got to plug that in. So once I started to do my research and I understood, like, because the way it is now, Ike, the system that we have right now with the fiat currency, what is it backed by right now, Ike?
Military.
And here's the thing: the dollar, Ike, the dollar is not. It's been devaluing since 1971 was when Nixon made that announcement. It's been going shh, right? And so, long story short, let me wrap it up, Ike, because I know you're getting bored. Once I saw that, even a basic guy like me understood, hey, this is something, because we're in a generation now, we always using computers, phones, and crypto goes right into that, right? Why is it, Ike, that if you go to a grocery store to buy Perrier, right, they can get your money instantly. But then, Ike, if you were to return Perrier, it would take you 5 to 7 business days to get your money back? Come
Solo
on,
and I
bro.
are starting a Perrier cult, by the way. Just if you guys want to join the Perrier gang.
Perrier gang in the building, man. Sipping on Perrier, man. Facts.
So basically, you got information from one person, and then you also heard it again from someone else whom you trusted. And usually, that's the those kinds of synchronicities when they happen. As I'm sure we notice those things. It's like, okay, I got to get in, and then ever since you got in. What has been the experience in terms of growth, right? If we wanted to stick with the theme.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer the question like you. Look, I said in a stream like this, I got a whole Bitcoin. Shout out to the brother who set me up at 7,000. So if Bitcoin is at, hold on, let's look. I got the price right here. I've been watching it.
Pull it up. Let's
at 23,000. How much is my Bitcoin worth right now? Now, mind you, Ike, let me stop before you say I've got other coins as well. Right? But here's the thing. And I remember 2019, people were going in on me, Ike. They're like, yeah, where's Bitcoin now, Solo? When it was like 5-6 grand. They're like, where's Bitcoin now? And I was quiet. I was like, because when I first got into the space, I'm in it for the long term, Ike. I'm not one of these traders, and I know a lot of these guys are like, Solo, you're dumb. Listen, I'm a hodler through and through. Now, is there certain coins that I might sell so I can get another coin? Of course. But crypto has been good. Let me put it to you like this, Ike. All my money that I've originally invested, I've gotten it back times 2. I'll leave it at that.
Look, I let me say this. And someone says over there, Theta gang. Okay, we got the crypto.
Theta in the building.
Theta in the building. So I started hearing about Bitcoin right at close to around the time when it came out, because I like to consume all kinds of media and stuff like that and blah blah blah. Andreas Antonopoulos way back in the day, and then I listened to him in the Joe Rogan podcast. I think he first showed up there in 2013. I'm listening to the guy. I'm like, okay, cool, blockchain, so on and so forth. But I did not have that intuitive urge to jump in yet. As I said, I'm more of an intuitive person, right? I tend not to be strategic. If I was maybe someone else, I'll be like, okay, cool, I'm going to go nerd out, look at this thing, and then, but that's not just how it works for me.
Said nerd out.
So basically, years later, after learning about the blockchain, okay, and on and on and on, 2020 hit, right? And the market, as a result of the beer flu and whatever else, crashed. So around March, Bitcoin was like $6,000. Not for long, okay, not for long, okay. But it got down there, and I went in and I scooped up a few. I got Ethereum, I got Litecoin too, I got Doge, I
good for you.
I got stocks, I got all kinds of crap, okay. And then
You said you got Doge.
I got Doge. Look, man, my Doge bag. All right, my Doge bag. Okay. If you can see that, my Doge bag is up 30-something%.
Okay.
My Bitcoin bag is and I've been selling some Bitcoin. It's up over 100 and look over 119%. Ethereum is close to 100%. Look, right? My average cost for Bitcoin was, because I bought more as time went, but my average is $10,000, right, in terms of per Bitcoin. And right now, as you know, Bitcoin is 23,000, so on and so forth. But so it's been great, and I will have to say that partially thanks to you in terms of my journey from between when I first heard it till part of the reason why I was ready to pull the trigger in March was because, you know, it's every day, bro. I pray my crypto, bro. Right? I was listening. I was listening to you. So you're partially to thank for that. So when the opportunity came,
hey, all I'm saying is when it hits 50,000, I need my 25 grand from you, fam. I need half. When it gets to
half? When did we sign that agreement? But anyway, so
it's part of the YouTube solo TV agreement.
Oh man, I got to read the fine print.
I'm just messing with you, man. Facts. Good for you, man.
Yeah, so it is something I would, you know, look, for people who are listening now, I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're not in it yet, and so on and so forth. And look, you may be a fundamentals guy in terms of like, you got to understand it. Well, just then go understand the blockchain, because it is the future, generally speaking. Not just even if Bitcoin, okay, the off chance that either Bitcoin or any of these cryptocurrencies don't really amount to anything, blockchain is not going anywhere. It's like the internet, okay? And here's what happened in terms of the Bitcoin when it first took that boom and the whole cryptocurrencies, and then reached a peak and then went down, and it was kind of like, you know, in no man's land for a while, and then it goes up again. The same thing happened with the internet. In other words, 80s into the 90s, oh, boom. Everybody thought, oh yeah, dog.com and everything's just going to blow up. So there was a big bubble, popped, and it came down, okay? But then what happened later after that is boom, all of a sudden, and the people who were there like the whole time, imagine if you were at Amazon the whole time, okay? There tends to be a format in terms of especially technology within the digital space whereby it goes through that bubble, pops, comes down, and then, whoa, it goes again. So whether or not you're looking at cryptocurrencies and you're thinking that they may not amount to anything, but the blockchain is not going anywhere. Okay, the blockchain is kind of like the internet. The blockchain is not, because look, it brings efficiency, and it brings, the way I like to say it is, it brings conservation of mass into the digital space. It makes it such that it makes things non-fungible. Now that's the problem with this whole crypto concept is it's not easy to explain the blockchain, right? That's one of the problems. But let me just try. So money has to do with a medium of exchange, right? We need to be able to exchange something. So it could be gold, which is one of the things that we have been using. Now we have this program in the physical universe called conservation of mass. If I give you gold, I no longer have the gold, right? So it's easy. Right? It works. It works. Great. Okay. Good. No, we don't have to think about anything. How do we take that into digital space has always been the problem, in the sense that if I send you an MP3, I still have the MP3, and you can send it to somebody else, send it to somebody else. So you cannot create digital gold, in other words, right? Because there is no conservation of mass in digital space. But the blockchain is this kind of miraculous invention that actually makes it such that you can bring in this conservation property into that space. And if people are asking, well, what's the value of this number? Well, why is gold valuable? In other words, everything that we're going to use as a medium of exchange has value because we give it value. So get your mind out of that stuff. That stuff has to be a rock, right? Like gold for it to have value. No, that's just, look, no, we gave it value. So if you can port in this idea of conservation of mass into the digital space, plus all the other ways in which the blockchain can serve to be useful in terms of decentralized finance and smart contracts and so on and so forth, the whole Ethereum world, blah, 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 right? It's not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to...
Can I add on to that? And the blockchain too, what a lot of people don't understand, Ike, and I'm going to simplify it, right? Is the value of cryptocurrency is the blockchain because of the transparency behind it. A lot of you guys don't know, but when you put your money in the bank actually plays with your money.
They give
That's
it away
right.
immediately. And no, they multiply it by 9, fractional reserve banking, right? You
Right.
put $1 into the bank, and the bank immediately loans out $9 to other people, right?
Facts.
In other words, they cannot even if they try to give you to actually have your money, they cannot have your money. There is impossible. Anyways, let's not get into that.
But you get where I'm going with this, right?
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is this: remember what happened in Greece a few years ago when people were trying to get their money and the banks were closed, and they're like, oh, "Sorry, we ain't got it." Right? The bank takes your money. They do like Ike says. They play with it. It's not really your money, dog. It's the bank's money. That's
100%.
facts. I knows what I'm talking about. I'm just breaking this down really simple. And with crypto, it's yours and it's transparent. You see where everything goes. Now you might not see the name because that's another thing we love about crypto, right? The privacy. Now I'm not a drug dealer, but look, if I want to, if I want to buy, I don't know, some whipped cream, who knows? It don't matter. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people understand you are in control of your finances, and that's why now you're starting to hear about government pushback because the government does not want the regular person like you and I to have that power.
100%. So it is almost like when you're playing Monopoly, and no one has to watch the bank because unless you guys are really shady and someone is actually playing games with the bank, that's what the blockchain is like. Where it's like everyone knows where the money is in the bank. No one needs to kind of watch it. You don't need these intermediaries. Let's say you're wiring money, and then you have to go through the I forget what the name is, the SWIFT system or the ACH electron, the bank, the clearinghouse system. All these people, intermediaries that basically I'm just it's like, think about sending money internationally, similar to sending emails internationally.
Wait, hold on one second. I'll be right back. I gotta hit the tinkle room.
No problem. So think about sending money internationally, similar to sending emails internationally. Okay. Now imagine if in order to send an email internationally, you had these people who had to clear it up and charge you money for it. You'll be like, okay, well, it's 50 cents to send this. Okay, we take a percentage, and it's going to take 2 days, and so on and so on and so on. In the digital era, in the era of the internet, okay, where you are no longer sending mail by regular post, it's more efficient to send digital mail and without any of these intermediaries. How come it's still the case that with our currency, we have to depend on these intermediaries and so on and so forth, whom charge money and the only reason they are there is in order to make sure that this non-centralized ledger thing, right, they make sure that when I take money out of this account, okay, this bank here is keeping track of it. This other bank here is keeping track of it. They're making sure that everything is on the up and up and so on and so forth. It's like people having somebody check your email, making sure it's coming from this person, making sure it's this, that, and the other. In other words, it's antiquated and it makes a lot of people a lot of money. Who is making a lot of money? In addition to all the other corruption that goes on in the financial sector, but there are a lot of these intermediaries that make a lot of money simply because they got to check the ledger. They got to make sure that these ledgers are up to date. But the blockchain makes it such that once you do something over here, everybody sees it. In other words, there is no reason for it to send the money over there and this person checks and make sure that you have that and blah, blah, blah. It's just, it happens automatically. It did not exist before. It is literally an invention. Okay. Satoshi Nakamoto, right, invented this thing. It did not exist before. And that is one thing that people should just look at in terms of the fundamentals of it, whether or not they even get into Bitcoin and so on and so forth. But if you want to get into Bitcoin, there will be a drop. It will drop again. That's how the market goes, right? So wait, in 2021, it'll go down again. By how much? I don't know. But just wait. It'll come down to some.
I mean,
go ahead.
And I was telling you this on the phone yesterday, Ike. If it goes down to 19,000, I'm buying. You feel me?
Yeah.
Now, Ike was talking about
this is not financial advice, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Don't come for me. You know what I mean? There's definitely not financial advice, but I'm looking at my ledger right now because I can see. I'm looking at the charts. By the way, I'm not sharing my ledger. I don't want people to get mad. No, it's not that much. But here's the thing. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm buying another ledger. It's always good to have two, from what I was told. I think that if it goes down to 19,000, that's when I'm buying in. Now, Ike, we were talking about this yesterday. It goes down to 19,000, you buy it, then the next day goes down to, like, let's say 17,000, right?
Dollar cost averaging, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, dollar cost averaging. What does that mean? That basically means that if you have, and let's take it out of the crypto world. Dollar cost averaging is a smart way to invest long term always. If you have $5,000 to put in the market, don't take it and put it in all at once. Put $500 today, and then $500 next week, and then $500 next week. You get the point. In other words, the market is going up and down, up and down, up and down, and you want to get the average cost rather than maybe you're buying at a peak. Part of also dollar cost averaging is this. You may have a target like, I would like to reduce my average cost of this particular thing a little bit more, right? So when it goes down to 19,000, you buy a little bit, such that if it goes down to 17,000, you haven't blown on your whole wad, right? But the reason why you buy at 19,000 is also it goes all the way now from 19,000 to like 100,000. You didn't miss that out. You didn't miss out altogether. So the point is, you want to average as you go in. You want to buy little by little as it goes down, and also you want to sell little by little as it goes up. And you want a dollar cost average. This is just basic, basic kind of investing information. Nothing particularly fancy here, okay? But yeah. Point is,
do your own research, people. Do your own research, please. Or
your own research. Yes, we already reaching that hour and a half mark. Okay.
Can I say something? Shout out to Dr. Thunder. I see him in the chat. Salute to you, sir. And then can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
And I really mean this, Ike. You supported my channel. You see me do a lot of a lot of effery, but you supported my channel. That means a lot to me because of the fact that, with YouTube, it's been kind of difficult for me to gain traction with me being shadow banned, but you've supported my channel. And the interview we did, I will always, there was a lot going on that night. There was a lot going on that night. There was a lot. Listen,
I'm glad you had a good time.
I had a good time, man. Ike, it was a lot going on. But one thing that I will never forget, Ike, is when we had that conversation at the end of the night, and me and you were just talking, and I remember what you were telling me. I'm not going to share it with the public yet. Maybe in the future when I write my autobiography or something. But you know what you said. And that means a lot to me, Ike. And this crypto thing, Ike, brother, just wait, bro. We are on a roller coaster ride, bro. And I think 2021 is going to be great. But after 2021, it's going to go so parabolic. It's going to be insane. And I'm excited, Ike, for you. You know what I'm saying? When you get your first million in crypto, Ike, I'm gonna need my 10% finder's fee. You feel me? And I appreciate you supporting me. And you're a good dude. And I just want to say thank you. And I really mean that sincerely from my heart.
Well, I am speechless. But yeah, it's Ike, aka what am I? AKA I'm in this particular regard, AKA Super Chat Jesus. Okay, all right, always holding it.
I call you the Super Chat Saiyan. That's my new nickname for you. Do you ever watch Dragon Ball Z, Ike?
Of course. I mean, watching Dragon Ball Z and playing Dragon Ball Z video games since the Super Nintendo days.
Oh man,
Nintendo days, bro. Like, come on.
That's dope. So when I make those Dragon Ball Z references or Naruto references, you're like, yeah, he's a geek on the low. Like he tries to be like he's cool, but this solo guy watches a lot of anime. I can tell.
100%. I know what's up. So, and the whole thing about giving and so on and so forth, everybody knows about this. I'm always preaching this stuff, but generosity is a superpower, ladies and gentlemen. Generosity is a superpower. There are many levels why there is a strategic level, a marketing level, but there's also a psychological level why you should give, because when you give, you are leveling yourself up. Let's just keep it that way. Okay. When you give, you're demonstrating mastery, and I always say this stuff and I sound like a broken record, right? But the world gives to those whom can demonstrate mastery. Okay. If you are thirsty, you don't get her number. If you don't have collateral and good credit, you will not get the loan. If also you are stingy with money, you're actually not going to get it, because it's you that has to go out and get it. That's the only way for me to put it. Just like it's you that has to go out and get her number, right? So that smell of desperation follows you through the marketplace. That's why you cannot close if you have what salespeople call commission breath. Don't have commission breath. Don't give a damn about the sale and you'll get the sale. Obviously, you got to be skilled and so on and so forth. Okay, the same thing applies. You got to be skilled. You got to be ready to go out there and get that money. Or you have to demonstrate mastery over the money by throwing it away. Say, hey, no, this money, you are not my master. I'm your master, okay? I don't need money. Money needs me. Oh, you like that, huh?
Yeah. Wait, I can I ask you a question? I know this is.
Go ahead.
And I know. So, obviously, like I said, there was a lot going on in LA. But what was your thoughts on when we did the interview? Your experience when we did the interview in person? Like, what was your minus the other stuff, but just the interview itself?
Well, the interview itself. So definitely, I appreciated what I learned from the process in terms of how you showed up with the team and how before we set up, we were looking at the different light angles, so on and so forth. In other words, all the behind the scenes aspects of how things went down. I definitely appreciated that. And then also, and I know you mentioned just to talk about the interview per se, I like how you showed up with your snow bunnies. Yeah, I gotta.
Wait, Ike, who did I show up with? Let him know, Ike. Who did I show up with?
Oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Well, yeah, he showed up with a couple of snow bunnies over there.
Fact. Fact. They crazy though. They crazy.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was a good time. And me being me, I they started serving me drinks because I'm the man. But anyway.
Oh my god.
All that stuff. But anyways, I definitely appreciated it in terms of seeing the process. I liked how we were able to chop it up into different segments and so on and so forth. And we were able to, you shared it with me. And it was, I think that it was a good exchange. There was a good law of equivalent exchange in there. What's the name of that? Full Metal Alchemist, right?
Yes. So, yes.
it was a lot of fun. And yes, he did show up with not just one, but two of the snow bunnies. So that was you're keeping you were staying true to your brand. Your reputation preceded you, and you indeed showed up. You came correct, as they would say.
I just asked you about the interview, Ike. I didn't ask for no, but it was dope. It was dope. Shout out to Ike. It was a great interview. And the one thing I appreciated was when Nate, that's my boy, he was asking you those questions behind the scene at the end about crypto. Remember that? And that was really dope.
And was in Patreon because I haven't seen those ones when he was asking me about fundamental versus technical.
Yeah, it's on Patreon, Ike. But I had to, I had to leave it there for now. But Ike, let me ask you this: 2021, would you be open to doing another interview? Because I might be going to Colorado. You could meet me there or something. You know what I mean? Or I could meet out. We could meet wherever, or you could come to Minneapolis, wherever. But I'll be in Colorado. There's gonna be a Snow Bunny Brigade out there. They have a lingerie festival, so I'll be out there.
100%. So Colorado sounds like a good idea because I've always been looking for an excuse to go to Colorado. Like besides the West Coast, another place that I would definitely look into like staying is Colorado. I'm a mountain guy, I suppose. When it comes to, let's say, nature, right? I'm a mountain/forest guy. Makes sense. I'm an introvert. I don't like where the people are. I'm not a big fan of the beaches. Okay. I like to be hidden somewhere. You know, grow my beard out long and chop some logs or whatever. And so Colorado will be perfect. And I used to snowboard back in the day, so maybe I might pick it up again. Hopefully I don't break my back or something. But number one, definitely down to do another in-person interview. Number two, Colorado would be a great spot to do it at. And number three, thank you for the invitation. I'm glad that you wanted to do that again. And Snuggles over here says, question for Ike: haven't blacks been very generous set of people? How has that superpower helped them? It's just a question, if you don't mind answering. So basically,
where did that come from?
What?
Where did that question come from? It seems random.
Because we were talking about generosity being a superpower.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, got
it. Yeah, listen, Solo. I don't know, that blacks, are particularly generous when it comes to outside whatever their community or whatever. I know that they tend to be community focused and so on and so forth, but to be generous, I don't know where that data. I would like to see whatever studies shows that, but I know that there's studies that actually show that African American women are the least or are the lowest tippers. Okay, so that ought to tell you something. But generally speaking, women tip less than men. It's as they say, no heat, no smoke, no judgment or whatever. But it just is what it is. Intuitively, you know this, right? You know that they're more likely to look and be like, but what about this? Or what about that? Well, how about this percentage? Looking for ways to reduce the tip. But generally speaking, I don't know about the studies that would suggest that white blacks are more generous or are particularly generous people outside of community and family interests. But something I would like for everybody to practice now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give Solo TV 84, whom has been a very, very great guest here today. And before I give him the last word, shout out to Carl Black, shout out to Nicer in the house. She says Denver is a dope city. Been there several times. All right, Carl Black says create a crypto series, Solo, or investment series in general. As a matter of fact, he's got it. You can go ahead and check. You got a playlist.
Yeah. Gotcha. But I'm thinking about, like I was telling you, Ike, I'm thinking about maybe doing a beginner's guide to crypto. So I don't know, guys. Stay tuned because Ike, next year it's gonna go crazy, Ike. You're gonna be flooding the super chats with thousands. You're gonna be like, here you go. Matter of fact, Ike, you didn't even go send cash. You're gonna be like, what's your crypto address? So it's gonna go crazy. Trust me.
That is I mean, I am definitely I'm watching with bated breath, as they say. Okay. So shout out to everyone. Shout out to Jesse. You guys should, most of you guys are definitely already subscribed to Mr. Solo TV 84. For some of you who mentioned things like, oh, does Solo has a channel? Does Solo have a channel? Sorry. Yes, he does. You should go ahead and check out Solo TV 84. Just type in Solo TV 84. It'll take you directly to him. He puts out all kinds of content. Cryptocurrency. He's going to start this series on starting a new business for 2021, right? Where you
also, I started my not to cut you off, Ike, but I started my podcast as well on Spotify and Anchor. That'll have some of my classic videos, but I also will have a set of different videos. It's going to be my Spotify is going to be more old school Solo, talking about women, but it's also going to have a lot of crypto in it. So if you guys want to say, well, what's the crypto stuff? Because here's the great thing, Ike, about doing podcasts. I just have to hit the record button and then it uploads straight to the podcast. It's beautiful. I don't have to do any editing. So we're going to talk about crypto a lot.
Excellent. I just dropped Solo's channel also on the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, before I close out, let me ask this. Do you guys, which song should I close out with, Nicer? Which song should I close out with? Should I close out with our typical theme, Battle Within? Or should I play Toll Road, which was the more chill, kind of cool and calm, wintry kind of a song that I played earlier in the beginning? Let me get a 1 for Battle Within. Let me get a 2 if you want to do the other one. So while you guys do that, let me go ahead and reiterate what this conversation circled around. This conversation was about growth, okay? Growth is a word that cuts across many different aspects of our lives. All right. Growth, growth. How did you grow last year? Personal growth, financial growth, economic growth. What's the rate of growth in the GDP? Okay. Is the growth slowing down in the financial markets in China, in this, that, and the other? Growth is part of living. Growth has to do, life in general has to do with growth, accretion, appropriation, competition, and so on and so forth. So this is something that as we close out this year, we should have in the forefront of our mind next year. How are you going to grow? And I know don't mean in kind of a silly New Year's resolution type stuff, but I'm talking about having a strategy, as Solo said, where, right, you have a strategy, you have a plan, and then you go about saying the steps that you're going to need in order to execute that plan. Watch my video review on your next 5 steps, which is a book on strategy, okay? On the What I Read series, next 5 steps, a book on strategy, okay? And then we went on about how to kind of strategize vis-a-vis entrepreneurship and business and so on and so forth. But it's definitely something that you can apply in all areas of your life, ladies and gentlemen. So did I already give you the last word, Solo? Because you got to have the last word. And I see already people already voted. 2 is winning. They want to hear the other song, not the regular song. But I'm going to have you take us out, Solo, and then I'm going to play the song. So last word goes to Solo TV 84, Mr. Don DeMarco himself.
Hey, guys, you support Ike. He's a real one. I call him Mr. 52, a.k.a. the Super Saiyan, the Super Chat Super Saiyan. Shout out to Ike. Don't sleep on crypto. Do your research. And Ike, I appreciate Ike. I knew you were going to hit me up with some tough questions, Ike. I should have had you email your question. Next time, Ike, we do an interview, you're going to email me the questions first, dog. Facts. Yeah, I mean, you ain't going to get me like this again, Ike. I got you now, man. I see what you do. Facts.
100%, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, Dr. Thunder. 2-1 because we got Shot Copy and Jesse and Nicer asking for 2, and your one you got to go build a better one coalition. You got to do some community organizing. Maybe go learn from Barack Obama so that next time you could win the election. Shout out. Bye.
I travel by night and I travel by day. I feel the breeze, I feel the call, and I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and they're mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, small price to pay for the saving of the risk. And so I say, people, what you waiting for? Take one and leave one and take it to go. Make a decision and get on the road. Open your vision for the sun to shine on. Bamboo and acorn and a letter I wrote. Big ones and small ones and a pipe for a soul. The rhythms of time is the horse I ride on. Night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I feel the call, and I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and they're mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, people, what you waiting for? Will there be raindrops and rainbows so clear? Perhaps some snow angels, maybe a bear. Anticipation in the heart casts a fog upon the road. How far till the train stop? I wish I was there. I glance at the paper just to be clear. All the coming and the going that will be once was foretold. I travel by night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I feel the call, and I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and they're mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, a small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, people, what you waiting for? Sha-na-na-na-no, sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-no. Sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-no. Sha-na-na-na-no, sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-no, sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-no. I travel by night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I feel the call. And I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and their mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay. A small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, aye, people, what you waiting for?